An Air Force major ambushed in his own driveway.
He had been confronted by somebody, and a horrible, horrible fight took place. The crime scene itself, there was a lot of blood.
This was a tragedy that happened here in our community.
Would bring investigators on a quest for justice.
It was just a mystery as to why this would occur to this major in a very nice neighborhood.
It's a dark and twisted tale filled with lies and deceit.
We had the information that they had been having an affair together. They kept their affair a secret.
Why didn't you lie to me?
But no one expected the shocking direction the investigation would take.
Everybody says, yeah, you need a break in the case. This is more than a break.
Hi, I'm Nancy O'Dell. Today's Crime Expose takes us to Panama City, Florida. It was here in an upscale residential community that a loving father and Canadian Air Force major was ambushed outside of his own home. As detectives pieced together the baffling clues surrounding his murder, his family was left grasping for answers. It was dawn on a brisk February morning when Monique Turenne called 911.
911, what's the emergency? My husband is face down in the bushes. I don't think he can do anything. Okay, do you know what might have happened to him? I don't know.
Investigators raced to their home and found the body of 42-year-old David Turenne next to his driveway. It was clear the major in the Canadian Air Force had been the victim of a savage assault.
He was laying, about 5 foot over from the driveway. There were several bushes and trees and a fence there, and he was laying face down. And I remember his jacket was partially pulled down in the back. And I remember that one of his shoes had come off his foot. The crime scene itself was very bloody. There was a lot of blood.
It was a very brutal scene. You could tell there had been a violent, vicious attack. There was blood not only on the back of Major Turenne's head, but there was blood on the bricks there, the grass, the fence, the bushes that were growing there. There was even cast-off blood on the van that was parked there in the driveway. It had been really foggy that morning, so the ground was wet, and they had the area roped off pretty soon to make sure, or taped off, to make sure that there wasn't be any contamination of the crime scene, so the crime scene specialists could gather the necessary forensic evidence in the case.
The evidence surrounding his body puzzled the officers on the scene.
There were some other items that were located there at the crime scene that perplexed the investigators. For instance, there was a shoe that was not Major Turenne's shoe. There was a mask that was left there. A brown work glove was there, and one of Major Turenne's own shoes was missing at the time.
It was a mysterious crime, but detectives were sure about one thing.
It was obvious to the individuals investigating the scene that whoever had committed this crime would have blood on them also.
Police asked Major Turenne's distraught wife, Monique, about what had happened.
She was interviewed once that morning and then later that afternoon. That morning, she indicated that she had been sleeping in the master bedroom with her son, the baby. Her husband had slept in the guest bedroom, which was not unusual. She indicated that she got up around 5 o'clock in the morning. She took a shower. She went into the kitchen around 5:30, did not see Major Turenne. She went back to put on her makeup, and there around 5:45 or 6 o'clock, she heard his alarm going off. Usually, after the first beep or the second beep, he would turn that alarm off. But on that morning, the alarm kept going off, so she had to go in there and shut it off, and he was not in the bedroom. She indicated that she went into the garage, Nothing appeared out of order. She opened the garage door. The van was out there. She did not see her husband, so she walked outside to see if perhaps he was in the van.
She said it was then she made the horrific discovery. She told police she couldn't think of anyone who would have wanted to harm him.
She indicated that he didn't have any enemies, and she really didn't have an explanation as to how this could have happened.
Monique allowed investigators to search their home, and no blood evidence was found inside. Detectives wondered if his murder had been the result of a botched robbery.
When we went through the home, we didn't find any area where anybody had attempted to get in.
The medical examiner was called to the scene, and his conclusions told a grisly story of the victim's last moments alive.
Multiple blunt force injuries to the back of Major Turenne's head.
He had 11 or 12 skull fractures. He had been terribly, terribly beaten. His last moments alive were horrible. It had to be, just looking at what happened to him. And looking at the crime scene itself, he really fought. There was a heck of a fight.
The medical examiner made an intriguing discovery inside Major Turenne's pocket.
A receipt from one of the grocery stores that stayed open all night long. That indicated that at 2:14 in the morning, Major Turenne had purchased some Midol and some Tagamet. However, there was no Midol or Tagamet found in the van that he had driven to the store or there at the crime scene.
The timestamp on the receipt helped narrow down the killer's window of opportunity.
We knew that this murder happened sometime after 2:14 that morning.
So at that point, what theory did detectives have?
Investigators did not know if someone had followed him from the store in an attempt to rob him, or perhaps he stumbled upon a burglar.
Detectives were surprised a crime of this magnitude had happened in such a quiet residential area.
Kind of an upscale neighborhood. You certainly would not expect something like this in that neighborhood.
Officers fanned out searching for a lead.
You know, we canvassed the neighborhood, we looked all around, tried to find anybody who had seen anything or heard anything.
So did you find any witnesses?
No one had heard anything suspicious that night.
Police wondered if Major Turenne's work at Tyndall Air Force Base might have played a role in the attack.
Major Turenne was a computer specialist there for the Canadian Air Force. He was part of the NORAD system that defends all of North America. It's a joint military operation here at Tyndall Air Force Base. Given the nature of his work out at the Air Force Base, they didn't know if somebody had attacked him because of his job there at the Air Force Base.
Investigators speculated that the top secret work he had been focusing on had put him in the path of a killer. Authorities investigating Major David Turenne's brutal murder theorized that the crime could have been connected to his classified work at the Air Force Base, and it was all hands on deck to solve the case.
This was a joint investigation not only by the Panama City Police Department, but also the Air Force military as well as the Canadian military. And we wanted justice not only because this crime occurred in our community, but also it occurred to a Canadian citizen who was serving not only his country, but helping serve our country also.
So could investigators find any evidence to link the Major's work to his murder?
They could not come up with anything that would connect this crime to his job at Tyndall Air Force Base. So that was pretty much ruled out at the beginning, right at the beginning.
The pain of Major Turenne's shocking murder was almost unbearable for his family.
Every case devastates the families. You know, Major Turenne was the victim, but there are so many more victims than just him. I got to know his family really, really well.
David was a very caring person. He took a lot of time with the children. He was a very caring father and family man.
The brutal crime terrified the community, and the tips began flooding in.
We started getting in numerous anonymous tips. The police investigated those, and most of those failed to check out.
Despite an intense investigation, detectives didn't have any solid leads or suspects.
At that point, we're kind of scrambling to come up with something. There were a few days there we were pretty much at a dead end on this. We just didn't have anything to go on there. We certainly needed a good break to come our way.
But then, an anonymous caller contacted police. What did the caller say?
They told us that we needed to look into somebody named Ralph Crompton.
Detectives quickly ran with the tip.
Immediately when we looked into Ralph Crompton, we found out that he worked out at Tyndall Air Force Base in the same area there with Monique Turenne, the Major's wife.
Detectives were convinced this was the lead that would blow the investigation wide open.
This is what we need. We're on the right track. I mean, couldn't believe it.
Law enforcement dug deeper into his background.
Ralph Crompton was a retired master sergeant from the United States Air Force. He had been a very good military man. He was a master planner with attention to detail.
But when detectives looked into Crompton's whereabouts for the time of Major Turenne's murder, they were stunned.
He was not working at Tyndall at that time. When we found out that Ralph Crompton's working in Aiken, South Carolina, he wasn't even here when this happened.
It looked as if Crompton had an ironclad alibi for the night of Major Turenne's murder. It was a disappointing setback, but it only served to ramp up the investigation, and police would soon uncover a sinister plot. Detectives had received a tip that 40-year-old Ralph Crompton had been involved in Major Turenne's murder. But the investigation revealed shortly before the crime, he had taken up a job in South Carolina.
He was in Aiken, South Carolina, working at that nuclear plant up there, is where he was at the time of the murder. He was not in town.
While investigators flew up to Aiken, South Carolina to verify Ralph Crompton's alibi, they found a witness who had worked with Ralph and Monique, and the details the woman provided pushed the investigation forward. So what did she tell you about the two, Monique Turenne and Ralph Crompton?
They had been having an affair together. They kept their affair a secret.
And when detectives spoke with Crompton's boss in Aiken, South Carolina, what he revealed was a bombshell.
When they started talking to Ralph's boss, they found out that he had called in sick that day because he wasn't feeling well, that he possibly had the flu.
So Ralph Crompton didn't actually have an alibi for the time of the Major's murder.
The 24-hour period that Major Turenne was murdered, Ralph Crompton didn't work that day.
Since Crompton had recently moved for his new job, he was staying in a hotel, and Crompton specifically told the hotel staff not to enter his room that day.
He was going to stay in bed and stay in his room for 24 hours. He did not want room service. He didn't want to be disturbed.
Police continued to dig and discovered Crompton didn't have a vehicle in South Carolina. So officers quickly searched through the records at the local rental car agency.
What they found was that, in fact, Ralph Crompton had rented an automobile, had paid cash for the automobile.
And that wasn't all.
When we checked the mileage on that vehicle, it fit right into going to Panama City and back.
Detectives sent the rental car to the lab for processing, and Crompton was brought to the station for questioning. Crompton denied having an affair with Monique Turenne.
So you've never had an affair with Monique, contrary to what people tell us.
Oh, yeah, I know. Basically, we're lunch buddies, and that's about it.
But you've never had an affair with her? There's never been anything between you, sex-wise, anything like that?
No.
Detective Dan Bates strategically allowed Crompton to trap himself in a lie.
I asked him, I said, well, Ralph, what if somebody told me you rented a car up here?
What was his reaction?
I'm telling you, he looked at me and you could just see damn near all the blood drained from his face.
Detective Bates turned up the pressure.
Why would somebody tell me you rented a car here?
I don't know why.
Because you rented a car here.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you lie to her?
Yeah, I think I'm going to plead the Fifth Amendment on this.
And then he asked for a lawyer. That was the end of it. The interview was over.
Detectives were forced to release him until a judge agreed to sign an arrest warrant. But officers kept him on around-the-clock surveillance.
They conducted surveillance on the hotel room to make sure that he did not leave.
But the next day, Crompton never emerged from his hotel room, so investigators went inside.
They found Ralph in the bathtub. And the bathtub was full of bloody water where Ralph had attempted to kill himself.
But he was still alive. Did he say anything?
He said, "I did this to set her free."
Ralph Crompton's wounds were not life-threatening, and he was treated at a nearby hospital. It was then law enforcement completed the forensic examination of his rental car.
They found a speck of blood on the driver's door that had went down kind of like behind the armrest area.
So when the lab analyzed the blood, what were the results?
We know who it belonged to. It wasn't Ralph. It was our victim. So at that point, we knew we had our man right then and there.
Phone records confirmed Crompton had called Monique before Major Turenne's murder, as well as moments after the attack.
We know that because we got telephone records of all that.
The evidence revealed Monique had planned to collect her husband's life insurance policy, worth over $600,000.
We believe that Monique had conspired with Ralph Crompton to kill her husband, to eliminate him, and also for the life insurance proceeds.
Ralph Crompton was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, but Monique had flown to Canada for her husband's funeral and refused to return.
Monique is a very evil person, very, very evil. Who is the worst person in this? Ralph or Monique? Well, that's easy, Monique. She manipulated Ralph big time.
Detectives believe Monique had sent her husband to the store in the middle of the night to set the plot into motion.
She woke him up in the middle of the night complaining about she was sick and sent him to the store. Ralph was waiting out there next to that garage door when he came home.
Ralph Crompton was tried and convicted for committing Major David Turenne's murder and was sentenced to life in prison. It would take 9 long years to extradite Monique Turenne from Canada to stand trial for orchestrating the attack. She was convicted of second-degree murder and got the maximum possible sentence of 22 years behind bars. And now, it's time for today's Safety Spotlight. Many of us think of our homes as a safe place to retreat from the world, and they should be. But in reality, our home is only as safe as the security measures we put in place. Consider installing an alarm that alerts both you and law enforcement of any intruders. Nowadays, these systems are quite sophisticated, and security cameras can capture multiple locations. Motion detectors can also alert you at home or even remotely to let you know if someone is present before you enter or exit your home. Posting signs that these security devices are in place is often a deterrent for criminal activity. And for additional guidance, you can check out safety.org. I'm Nancy O'Dell. For all of us here at Crime Exposé, please join us next time and stay safe.